Alrighty, we are live, and I've been having all sorts of fun technical stuff. So I am live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and on Instagram on my phone here. But my old phone that was supposed to go live on TikTok has decided to crap out on me, so it's not working. So I am not live on Twitter, on TikTok right now. Maybe I'll go live on TikTok later. I mean, it doesn't actually have to be at the same time. But here we go. If you are live here with me on any of the platforms, please say hello. Tell me where you're coming in from. And let's move this a little bit. There we go. Tell me where you're coming in from. Tell me where you are, what's new with you, what's the weather like where you are. I am in Winnipeg, where it is unseasonably warm, and I am quite grateful. Let's put that over there. I think that'll be better. Yes, I can see better. And I can see the comments. I love comments. There's nothing I like better than a conversation with people. I'm not huge on watching TV or movies or stuff. I like the interactive. I like to talk to people. So if you are here to talk with me, that would be absolutely awesome. So tonight, first of all, my name is Hadass. I live in Winnipeg in Canada, and I am here to talk to you tonight. Been calling it Sunday Silver. As you can see, I've gone silver in the last year or so, and it's been a journey, let me tell you, because this was not easy for me to accept, this whole silver thing. But I started using a collagen product, which just made my hair grow like a maniac, and it was just like I was having to redo the color every 2 weeks, and it was like, okay, fine, I will go silver. So that's been a journey. But anyway, so hence the Sunday Silver. But yeah, so I've been doing these videos here, and it's been a lot of fun. And I hope you will join me, and we can talk about this. Because my topic tonight, and I don't think I put it on Instagram. Like I said, I've been having some technical issues. Hey, Rishona, how nice to see you. How are ya? Hello. So where was I? Okay, so my topic tonight is health without ableism. Because let me tell you, I have really become aware of ableism. And if ableism is something that you've been thinking about, I would love to see some comments. So feel free to drop a comment and tell me what you think of ableism. And we're not even talking about health just yet, but just ableism, because it's a fact of life that if you live long enough, if you don't die before that happens, chances are you are going to lose some of your physical abilities, whether it's walking or running or whatever it is. People have issues with their joints, people have issues with their knees, with their fingers, all sorts of stuff happens, and people find that they can't do what they used to do. And yeah, and really the only way to avoid this is to die young. And so if you don't want to die young, if you want to have a long life, then you have to accept the fact that you will probably at some point become at least somewhat disabled. I've been extremely blessed so far. I can run, I can lift, but I don't take it for granted, and I'm really careful. I stretch and all the things. So here's the thing is that our society is not set up for people who are disabled. Let's just say that. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. There's racism, there's fat phobia, there's sexism, there's all sorts of things. But just the way disabled people are treated. I mean, I made a resolution this year, this Jewish year, so just starting this fall, is that I am going to attempt. It's not always easy to put an alt text on every picture that I post on social media. I'm not talking about stories, because that comes and goes, and that doesn't really have alt text as far as I know. If I'm wrong, please let me know, and maybe I'll put alt text on stories too. but certainly posts. And Instagram doesn't make it easy, but certainly Twitter got set up with a little reminder to put alt text on pictures, because people who have low vision, they use screen readers. If a picture shows up and it doesn't have alt text, then they don't know what's going on and they're excluded. I've just been reading a book by Julia Serrano called Excluded. I don't have it here. I was going to bring it, but anyway. And she talks about, the various intersections of stereotypes and so on. But I just wanted to, tonight, I just wanted to talk about ableism in particular, because as you may know, I work with a company in the wellness space. And I have to say that this company is in many ways better than a lot of people in this space, in that they're really focused on well-being, on feeling better, on having better nutrition, and so on. But a lot of people, even in this company, people that I work with, they're very focused on muscles and getting, I have no problem with muscles. I love my muscles. I like to lift, and without muscles, I couldn't lift. But here's the thing, is that if I couldn't lift, and for about 3 months, actually, I couldn't lift because I got COVID in the first week of August, and it's really taken me this long. Hello, welcome to my, whoever's watching. Please drop a comment if you like, say hello. So it's taken me about 3 months to get back to where I was before in terms of what I can lift. And it was really important for me to be aware of what I could do and what I couldn't do. So my COVID was pretty normal in that it was, or common, if you will, in that it was affecting my respiratory system. So I knew that when I started to cough, it was time to stop, whether I was doing cardio or whether I was lifting. It was a warning sign for me that I couldn't do as much as I would like to do, or as I was doing even a couple of months before. So, excuse me. So, some water. Water is a good thing. And I couldn't do what I was doing before. And it was really important to me to pay attention. And thankfully, this was a temporary thing, it would appear. I've been able to, like just this past Friday, I was in the gym and I was able to do some lifting that I hadn't been able to do before. And I'm very grateful for that. But there are people for whom, they become disabled or immunocompromised or sick in some way. And that's how their life is from then on. And so they really need to adjust. And our society is just not set up for that. And especially the wellness industry, if you will, is very focused on a very specific model, if you will, and society in general. If you're not thin and muscled and probably white and definitely young, then, it's just not interested in you. And, I've had people who are in wheelchairs, for example, tell me that, they'll be somewhere and people will talk to the person who's with them as if they're not there, as if they can't talk, as if they can't hear, as if they can't make decisions for themselves. What would she like to eat? Well, ask her. She's right here. Hello? I'm a person. Just because I can't walk doesn't mean I'm turned into a block of wood. And so there's that. And, accessibility is a huge thing. Not all public buildings have ramps and doors that are wide enough to allow wheelchairs and so on. And, and it's funny because, just as an aside here, when people do make accessibility things, very often it turns out, if things are designed in an accessible way, it turns out to be useful for other people as well. Where just as a perfect example is, those cutouts in sidewalks that were put there for wheelchair users so that they can go off and on sidewalks without falling off the curb. But, anybody who's using wheels, whether it's a stroller or a bicycle or or a cart or anything, it's great for them that those cutouts are there, even though they weren't specifically made for strollers or for carts or for bicycles. I remember as a kid bouncing up and down on the curb with my bicycle. It was really bad for the bicycle and not great for me either. So the fact that now, I mean, people aren't supposed to bike on the sidewalk, I know, but Winnipeg is not a very bike friendly city, and often people do need to bike on the sidewalk, and especially children, like little children, definitely should bike on the sidewalk. And it's great that they can go up and down without banging. So just as an example of something that's a form of accessibility that was meant for disabled people and helps everybody. I mean, there's so many things like that. Fonts that are easier to read, for example, or and like I said, alt text. I've really been trying to be consistent with alt text. It's not always easy, but we do our best. We do the best we can. And to quote the great late Dr. Maya Angelou, we do the best we can until we know better, and then when we know better, we do better. So I wanted to talk specifically about health and ableism, because like I said, specifically in the health and wellness sector, people tend to be very ableist, and they don't even realize it. They don't have bad intentions, but exclusion, I mean, any minority will tell you that microaggressions and exclusion are very often not deliberate. It's just that people don't think outside of their own privilege. And which is fair enough, because it's going to be a blind spot. I'm just as an example, I have fair skin, as you can see, and I've never been stopped, thank God, by police unless I did something like when they first brought in the hands-free thing with the cell phones. I got stopped because and I picked it up because I was trying to look at my Google Maps, and I got stopped. And thankfully, it was they'd only just started, and I got off with a warning, and then I got a holder so that I wouldn't be holding my phone. My kids were terrified because I got stopped by the police. But the point is that there are people who, if they're, just because of the color of their skin, they get stopped all the time for no reason. And I have the privilege that this doesn't happen to me unless I've actually done something like picked up my phone or speed or whatever. One time I got stopped because they picked up a license plate thing, but it turned out it was the wrong plate. So yeah, that's privilege. And so I might not be super aware of this happening to other people. I mean, as it happens, I am aware of it because I've educated myself. But if I hadn't educated myself, I wouldn't know, because it doesn't happen to me. And lots of things like that, whether it's, trans misogyny, for example, trans women who get harassed on the street or in women's washrooms, or generally gender nonconforming women who get harassed in washrooms. It doesn't happen to me because I look very feminine. So that's something that thankfully doesn't happen to me very much. Actually, I don't think it's ever happened to me. So I have privilege that way. And so it's my job, if you will, as someone who is aware, if I'm ever in a washroom and I see somebody being harassed, it's my job as non-trans misogyny, I forget all of it. There's way too many acronyms. But anyway, someone who does not get trans misogyny addressed towards them, it's my job to step in and be helpful to people who are. So just as an example, when we have privilege and it's very easy to just not see how other people are subjected to exclusion and misogyny or any sort of microaggression because of their not having the privilege that we have. So coming back to the health thing, for example, earlier in the year, I was doing some some of this kind of broadcast with a friend of mine, and we were talking. I don't remember. We were just talking about being older women because. Oh, Debbie! Hello. Nice to see you. So we were talking about. I don't even remember, something to do like we're both in our 60s, and we were talking about that somehow, and about, you know, my my tag, if you will, for my business is vigor and dignity. I want people to age with vigor and dignity, and it's really important to be vigorous. And I'm grateful that I am healthy and strong and I can do all the things. But I wanted, when I'm talking about the things that I do, I think we were talking about sleep or hydration or protein. I don't remember what we were talking about. But the point is that I think it's really, really important to make it clear that not everyone has the privilege to be able to run and lift like I do. Now, I work pretty hard for this, but I'm still aware that it's not something that everyone has. And I want to be, and it's really important for me to not be ableist, to not have people who don't have the kind of privilege that I do, just in terms of physical ability to do stuff for whatever reason. And it doesn't matter why. I mean, that's the other thing. I'm not into fat shaming. I'm not into, ageism, all of these things. It doesn't matter why a person is having issues doing the sort of things that I personally find helpful. It doesn't matter why. The fact remains is that a person's worth and a person's dignity are based on that they are a human being. And they don't have to earn it. They don't have to do anything in order to be given that grace and that honor, because just being born with a human soul is good enough. That's a good enough reason for someone to be treated with honor and with dignity. And I think that that sometimes people forget. People get really excited about stuff. And again, I think mostly it's not meant in a malicious way, just people don't realize that their own privilege. And so things that seem obvious to us are actually not obvious at all. And it doesn't apply to everybody. Okay, so I'm grateful that I'm able to climb stairs easily. There's a lot of people who can't, and it doesn't matter why they can't climb the stairs, whether it's because their knees hurt or they're obese or whatever the reason is. The fact remains that it's important that we have other ways of getting into places that don't involve walking stairs, and that we accommodate and that we make room for everybody. And I think, especially, like I said, in the health and wellness sector, we do want to help people feel better. I mean, obviously, people who sleep better are going to feel better. People who are disabled or sick or whatever, they didn't ask to be that way, and they deserve to be treated with honor and dignity, and not, I mean, there's a lot of victim blaming that goes around. There's a lot of, well, if you would only, not eat that, then you would, then you wouldn't have this problem. First of all, that may or may not be true. There's a lot of hormonal crap that goes around in Western society having to do with our polluted environment. So there are a lot of people who have health issues that have nothing to do with their habits and everything to do with just and the environment that they grew up with. But even if it is their habits, just as an example, my mother passed away. Oh, hi, Stephanie. My mother passed away at the age of 69, and I'm 60 now, so I'm getting there. And she had diabetes, and that's what killed her. And there's no question that if she had had better habits, maybe she would have lived longer. Maybe she would have been healthier. It's certainly a reason for me to really watch my own lifestyle. But it doesn't matter because I am not better than her because I am doing my damnedest not to get diabetes. And it's really important because people who do get diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes, which is linked to lifestyle, it's also genetic. And the point is, I am so over people who shame people for whatever it is that's going on with them. It's not helpful. It just makes people feel bad. And you know what? As someone with, someone who dives into foods that maybe aren't the best for me when I am emotionally upset or whatever, absolutely can say that shaming people is not helpful. Let's just put it that way. Well, hello, that phone just woke up that I wanted to use for TikTok, but it's just going to have to wait because I'm on a roll here. Maybe I'll talk to TikTok later. But the fact remains that, yes, we want to be strong and healthy. We want to delay that onset of inevitable, I don't know what to call it, disability. Everybody is going to, in the end, is going to be, the only way to not become disabled is to die young. So if you are going to get to be the kind of old person that I certainly have every intention of getting as old as I possibly can, we want to make that time of disability and morbidity, we want to make that as short as possible, obviously. And obviously we want to take care of ourselves and we want to be as healthy and active as we can be. But I think it's really, really important to avoid ableism while we're doing that. And it can be tricky because, like I said, those of us who have privilege are very liable to slip into behavior that is ableist, microaggressive, or whatever, or shaming towards people who are maybe disabled, maybe they're older, maybe they're heavier, whatever it is that makes it so that maybe they can't be as active as they would like to be. I think it's really, really important to just be aware and to maybe stop and think before we talk. That's always a good thing to do. But especially those of us who are in the health and wellness industry, it is so easy to get into this body worship. And that's another thing that I've been concerned about. I mean, somebody called it the wellness to white supremacy pipeline, which I think might be, I don't know how much of that happens, but the fact remains is that there have definitely been cultures in the past who have put the adoration of their ideal body on such a pedestal that anyone who didn't live up to that was not considered not worthy of life, if you will. As I saw on Twitter today, somebody said, don't forget that the Nazis practiced their final solution on disabled people first. And that's certainly something that we need to watch out for, whether it's in Canada with medical assistance in dying that is maybe being a little too expanded. There's lots of things to talk about, and I would love to see comments from anyone who wants to talk about that. So anyway, I've been talking here for almost half an hour, so it's time to wrap this up. But anyway, it's a big subject. I will have more to say on it, I'm sure, in the future. And as I said, I would love to hear from you what you think about it. Is it a lot of much ado about nothing, or do you think that there's something to be said for trying not to be ableist as we try to have our healthiest lives and to age with vigor and dignity while also not being ableist? So you have a great evening. Remember, I love you. I would love to see your comments. Bye. See, gotta click all the things.